Namaste, Vidya. I, JVWU Muskan Kumari from the Department of Science and Technology, and I am working here as an assistant professor in Vidyapeeth University and Faculty of Education and Technology. So today in this session, I just want to discuss the topics which is related to your cloud computing, and the most important topic in this cloud computing is the virtualization. So, what is the virtualization? What are the importance of the virtualizations, and what are the working of virtualizations? We will discuss in this topic and in this session. Okay. So, to start, before starting this session, I just want to share some files which is created by me that helps you to better understanding regarding all the topics and points which I will cover in this today's session in the live virtualization. Okay. So, So this one is the virtualizations which I will discuss with you. Okay. So what do you mean by the virtualizations? Virtualizations is just like a process of running a virtual instance of computer system in a layer abstracted from the actual hardware. Most commonly, it refers to the running multiple operating systems and on the computer system simultaneously. So, to the application running on the top of the virtualized machines, it can also appear as if they are on their own dedicated machines, where the operating system libraries and other programs are unique to the guest virtualized system and unconnected to the host operating system which sits below it. Okay? So now, if we talk about that, what are the various main reasons why people utilize the virtualizations in computing? So, what will be the reasons? To desktop users, the most common use is to able to run applications named different operating system without having a switch off computers or reboot into the computer system, a different system. Offer more administrations of the servers, virtualizations offers the ability to run different operating systems also. But perhaps more frequently or importantly, it offers a way to segment a large system into various smaller parts, allowing the server to be used for more efficiently by a number of different users or applications with the different needs. It also allows for the isolation, keeping program running inside of the virtual machine safe from the process taking place in another virtual machines on the same host. Now, if we talk about the create a software-based virtual representation of application, server storage, and network to reduce the IT expenses while boosting efficiency and agility. So we must have to find a partners, which is the service providers. Virtualization can increase the IT agility, flexibility, scalability while creating significant cost saving, greater workload mobility, increased performance and availability of the resources, automated operations. They are all benefit of virtualizations that make IT simpler to manage and less costly to own and operate. So, if anyone can ask to you now, what do you mean by the hypervisor? So, what will you explain? How will you explain the hypervisor? Hypervisor is a program which is used for creating and running the virtual machines. Hypervisor have traditionally been split into two classes, type 1 or bare metal. Hypervisor that run guest virtual machines directly on the system's hardware, essentially behaving as an operating system also. So type 2, like the hosted hypervisors, behave more like traditional applications that can be started and stopped like a normal program. In modern system, this split is less prevalent, particularly with systems like the KVM. Okay, so KVM short for the kernel-based virtual machines. It is a part of the Linux kernel that can run virtual machines directly, although you can still use a system running KVM virtual machines as a normal computer itself. Okay, so now if we talk about the virtual machines, so what is the virtual machine? Virtual machine is just like equivalent or inverted equivalent of a computer system which runs on the top of the another system. Virtual machine may have access to any number of the resources which is like the computing powers through hardware system with but limited access to the host machine, CPU and memory. One or more physical or virtual disk devices for the storage, a virtual or real network interfaces and as well as any devices such as video cards, USB devices, or other hardware that are shared with the virtual machines. If a virtual machine is stored on a virtual disk, this is often referred to as a disk images also. So a disk image may contain the filled files of the virtual machine to boot, or it can contain any other specific storage needs. So virtualization is just like a technology that lets you create the useful IT services using the different resources that are traditionally bound to the hardware. And it also allows you to use the physical machine's full capacity by distributing its capabilities among many users on the device. Okay, so this is all about your the virtualizations and if you talk more points regarding the virtualization, so in the more particular term, imagine if you have three physical server, okay, with the individual dedicated purpose. One is for the mail server, another is for the web server, and the last one runs internal legacy applications. So each server is being used at about 30% capacity, just at the fraction of their running potentials. But since the legacy app remaining important to your internal operations, you have to keep them and the third server, the host, right. Clear. So what will happen? Traditionally, yes, it was often easier and more reliable to run individual tasks on individual server. First server, first operating system, first task. It was not easy to give one server multiple brains. But the virtualization, you can split the main server into two unique ones that can handle the independent tasks so the legacy app can be migrated. And it is the same hardware, so you are just using more efficiently. Okay, you can see here that they are distributed into two parts. A smaller part, 30% working with legacy apps. Okay. So keeping security in mind, you can split the first server against again so it can could handle another task, increasing it uses from 30% to 60% to 90%. Once you do that, the now empty server could be refused for other tasks or retired along it altogether to reduce cooling and maintenance the cost. Okay? So this is basically all about your the virtualizations, their working of the virtualizations, and all about the virtualizations, how the virtualization is basically work. So this is all about the virtualizations, and I have also discussed the terminology of hypervisor, which is also most important in virtualization concept. So students, if you have any problem regarding this station, then please let me know or your query by drop your query into the comment section box through which I will resolve your query into the next session with really informative sessions. Okay, and also read this session from multiple standard book and follow the multiple websites through which you can get easily the very good knowledge information and contents regarding this session also. Okay, and many more informations which will be questions which will arises through these sessions is like what do you mean by the hypervisor, what do you mean by the virtualization, how virtualization works, please explain this once. Then you have to write the concise points in answers and also define this with one example. Okay, thank you.